Junamayo?
You're right. It's the last one.
Ah, sake.
Quick note before I begin. I'll be a vendor at the Ottawa Comic Con on the weekend from September 9th to September 11th. It's my very first convention and I'll be selling some art prints, jewelry, and some artworks that I've never shown before. If you're in the Ottawa area that weekend, come say hi. I'd love to see you there. I'll be in booth 2518 in the Artist Alley. And now, let's talk about this artwork. So, here we are. Finally, after all these weeks, we reached the end. Welcome to Jujutsu Kaisen Angels, the finale, part 6 out of 6. It was a pretty long series of drawings, but I enjoyed it a lot, despite it being fan art, and you know how much I hate doing fan art. I love the show a lot, and it was truly a pleasure to turn my favorite characters into epic warrior angels with my favorite art style. I usually do at least one dry media angel a summer, but this summer I did 6. That's truly a record breaker. In today's video, I'm drawing the character I kept for last because he's my favorite, Toge Inumaki. To summarize him without spoiling too much, you know those characters in anime that don't talk much about themselves and are super mysterious, but in a hot way? Inumaki is that, but with a bit of a twist. The deal with him is that he can't talk, at least not without dire repercussions. His special ability is called Cursed Speech, which makes everything he says come true, similar to Allison from the Umbrella Academy, though a bit more challenging. Because of that, he is very careful with the way he communicates, and only uses code words to talk with his friends and teammates. What's the code? Onigiri fillings. Yep, that's why the rice ball in the intro. He's supposed to be sort of a comedic relief character, I think, but at the same time he holds an ace up his sleeve, a powerful ability that makes him a deadly opponent, and a deep backstory, all packed in a funny guy who can only say Tunamayo or Bonito. I said it before, but I'll say it again, and I'll keep on saying it probably till my last breath, but Jujutsu Kaisen has some of the best characters in anime. I talked in a previous video about how Nobara subverts expectations, but that can be said about many other characters in this show. Seriously, go watch it. I wish Toge Inumaki had more screen time in the show and more input. Unfortunately, he is a very much side character and he's not seen very often. I think though, the movie focuses a bit more on him, but I didn't watch it yet. I know, shame on me. I really have to actually get to it. Now with the character introduction out of the way, let's talk about the artwork itself. Unlike the rest of the characters who have a more epic and powerful stance and design, I wanted Inumaki to express something a bit more tragic. Despite him being a comedic relief in the show, I always sense something sad about him. I can only imagine how much it hurts to not be able to honestly talk with your loved ones. I bet Gege Akutami, the manga artist, purposefully wrote him this way, that he has like this surface level funny almost image, but in reality he's actually a very sad character if you really think about it. There's one scene in mid-season 1. It is kind of important, but in my opinion not really. You can skip about 20 seconds ahead if you don't want to be spoiled. Spoiler alert. But it's one of the very few scenes when you actually see Inumaki in action. His ability backfired and he started coughing up blood, as anime likes to do sometimes. I remember that moment when sketching and wanted to express his pain with my own art style. I drew a shirtless man on his knees, leaning forward, staring at his hands. Pools of blood form around him. He laments his life and what led him to this moment. How would someone feel about such an ability? Would it be honor? or perhaps bitterness? We won't know because he can't tell us. Inumaki has very distinct tattoos on the side of his mouth, and though you can't see them yet in this drawing, they play a large part of the whole composition, so just make sure you watch till the end, you will not regret it. Of course, as I usually do, I went all out with the wings. I think Inumaki has the largest wings of the ones in the set. Maybe Sukuna can compete in size, but his wings are folded, so in the picture they're not actually that large and impressive. By the way, if you want to see me drawing Sukuna, I suggest you follow the link on the screen right now. I finally had enough of having to constantly sharpen my 2B pencil, so I switched to a mechanical pencil. It surely made the process much faster, but I traded in a bit of quality, because after all, graphite and mechanical pencils isn't exactly the same quality as you get in regular drawing pencils. But the difference isn't big enough for me to really consider. In this case, I just wanted my life to be easier, so that's why I switched to a mechanical pencil. I'm still, even after years of doing this type of art, trying to figure out the best way to draw wings efficiently. I mentioned this before, but some of my angels took me around 40 hours to complete. Inumaki took about 8, which is 1/5 of the time it would have taken me a year ago, and the details are the same, if not better. I'd say about 5 out of the 8 hours were dedicated to the wings alone. Similar to Megumi, Inumaki's character is thin, without any exaggerated muscles. That's because his ability doesn't rely on physical strength at all. It was also mentioned in a small Easter egg that he's a good runner, so it felt right to me that his body would be on the thinner side. His wings follow the shape of passive soaring birds, such as eagles and hawks, which makes them large, very spread, with a bit of space between the feathers, especially the ones that are on the tips. This is actually a completely useless piece of information that only exposes how much of a nerd I am. Most of his body is engulfed in a shadow, so I didn't go too much into details or sharp lines. You can see a little bit of his abdominal muscles, but not too much. And I actually think it creates a really good contrast between his body and his hair that is a very light color. I'm trying to think of a good way to summarize this whole Jujutsu Kaisen Angel series. To be honest, I was really anxious most of the time working on it, because part of the reason why I even started this whole idea is because I wanted to create something special for my very first convention. And I started all of it at around July, after I came back from my parents' place. I came back home and I started working on it pretty much every day for weeks. And because these drawings take so long, I was genuinely worried. I had time from July, then I had August, and then the beginning of September, that's when the convention is. And I also need to give enough time for prints to actually arrive. Yeah, I was very anxious for the whole time while working on these. But at the same time, you probably, I mentioned that before, but something I absolutely love seeing is my own progress. And this series, I got a chance to really practice male anatomy, which is something that I always struggled with. As you probably noticed, 4 out of the 6 characters are men, most of them shirtless. It was a really good opportunity for me to work on something I always struggled with, and I think it turned out very well. I improved my efficiency. As I said before, I cut the time it takes me to draw wings by quite a lot. And in general, I would say there's only one artwork in this set that I don't like, and that is Megumi. I don't think it turned out very well. Everyone else, I am so proud looking at these drawings. I think I really gave it my all, and the result is something I'm not disappointed by. I probably have like the worst imposter syndrome you'll ever encounter. Like, it is really, really bad. And sometimes I'm not satisfied with my own work. Not necessarily because it doesn't look good or doesn't compare to artists I admire, but because I don't believe I actually put everything I could into it. It was something I really struggled with in university. I talked about it in my video recapping my second year, and the second semester really struggled, and a lot of my art was really unsatisfying to me because I just didn't pour my heart and soul into it. But with this project, I really think I pushed myself to my very limit. Is there room for improvement? Always. There's always room for improvement, and I can already point out several spots where, like, kind of weak spots in my own skill that I need to work on. At the same time, when I think back to it and I ask myself, did I give it my all? The answer is yes. And that is so important for me. It's not even, it doesn't even matter that much if other people like my art. Like, of course, it's important, it's really nice to see that other people like my art, but for me, it is very important that I am satisfied with it. And it happens so rarely. So, yeah, I think if I have to summarize this whole series in one word, it would be satisfying. I am very happy with how it turned out, and I can't wait to show you the prints. They will be stunning. There's a song by Porter Robinson that I find very meaningful for me. I didn't like it at first, but after like really looking into the lyrics, it grew on me. And the song is called Trying to Feel Alive. And it's basically about his experience as a musician, by doing what he loves, by trying to express himself authentically. He pretty much climbed a mountain, got to the top, got fame, got to like a level of skill that was unbelievable, and yet he found himself unhappy and unsatisfied with the place he's in. And I think about the song a lot. I can make a whole like separate video about it, about my imposter syndrome and the struggle with actually being happy with what I do. The fear of never actually getting rewarded for all the hard work I put into everything. But with these drawings, even if I don't actually get a reward, you know, in the forms of like print sales or likes online or anything like that, even if I don't get an external reward, at least I can confidently say that I am happy, and I would not change a thing. After finishing the whole drawing, it's time to draw the best part. This drawing really comes together after I add the finishing touches. I said that Inumaki's tattoos play a big part, and here they are. I drew them as shadows or twisted spirits coming out of his mouth, floating in the air, as well as blood spilling into his hands. I added these details after covering the drawing in workable fixatives so I can draw them without damaging the graphite under. And with that, Inumaki is done. A great character to close off an amazing show.
美味しいだよ。